Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 316, and today we're doing battle with Demacia Ramp. And so, 2 or 3 videos ago, we touched on that Braum Fiora-based Freljord ramp deck using Demacia with the sweet combos involving Anaacka from the Darkin Spear, Tianna, and Cithria. And I thought it was fun. You know, it was a neat deck. We used it to climb into Masters, but it didn't feel like it was firing at all cylinders. I kind of felt like the Braums were pretty terrible, and I didn't like Fiora either. We were never getting any Fiora OTKs or even coming close to threatening them. And so I wanted to kind of rework some of the deck after I got to play a bunch more games with it. And so the things I will say are we have started to include Trundle. Trundle works fantastically in here. If you want to think of these curves as to where you play a single ramp spell. And so if you say we're running good here and we have the 4-cost ramp spell, you can play it on turn 3. That'll bank up 2 mana. Then on turn 4, you can play Trundle and have single combat mana ready. You can do similar things with the other cards, with the Troll Scavenger and the Blocking Badger Bear. But I felt like that was a pretty reasonable selection in terms of the early game. It feels like the more powerful thing that we're going to be doing, and what really sets the tone in most of these games, is if we play a ramp spell on turn 3 and then we play a Trundle on turn 4. It's just such a bigger high impact play. Dropping Trundle than it is Braum or Fiora. Up next, after that, I did play quite a bit of Petricite Broadwing. The other big play that you'll end up with this deck, or the big sequence you'll make, is you play a 2-drop on turn 2, and then on turn 3, with your 1-banked spell mana, you're able to play a ramp card, and then the 4-mana ramp card, I should say, and then you have that 5 mana on turn 4 from that point forward. And so you have a lot more board interactivity if you're able to drop those 2-drops, but I just hadn't quite found myself being happy with the Petricite Broadwing. I kind of thought we could get some usage out of it with the Darkin Spear and the Hearthblood Mender, but it never really worked out as well as I wanted it to, and I've just kind of given up on the aggro matchups anyways. And so what you're going to kind of find with this deck is the aggro matchups are pretty painful. You're never beating a Shark Chariot deck. You can beat things like Pirates, but it's pretty tough to do. You're really looking to focus more in on the mid-rangey style decks, so decks like Elites, decks like Leona, just these decks that get a lot of their value out of just putting a big old bunch of stats on the board. Ideally, we're able to put more stats on the board than them. We also have pretty reasonable matchups against the control decks of the format that don't play Vhagar. And so if we're looking towards, say, like Nora Swain or any of the Nora decks that don't have Vhagar, any of the other unit-based control decks, we have a pretty decent matchup with against as well. And so I think I got a cat about ready to jump on me. I'm trying to analyze if I'm going to catch some if I'm going to catch some claws into the legs out of nowhere. It seems like it feels pretty safe, but nonetheless, let's go ahead and jump on into some games and see what we can do here. The pay-to-win price is all paid up with this deck. We're in on the main account, so we'll see what we can do. Here she comes. Ooh, I thought she only got there halfway. Here we go. Here's a little kitty for your day. Says, "What up, world? Happy Saturday to me. Happy 311 day to me." We're all having a good time out here. Do love 311, one of the greatest bands of all time. If you get a chance to check out 311, I know it's 312s for you now, but 311 day here for me today. Definitely giving them a bit of a listen. And so, up against Jinx Draven, I really wasn't expecting something like this to turn up, but these kind of matchups are a nightmare. We have nothing to do on the first turn of the game, nothing to do on the second turn of the game. Ooh, that's about as good as we could hope for. Opponent not starting with a 1-drop. I definitely dig that. If we just get, oh my gosh, what's happening? What's happening, Lobo in Brado? Oh man, that was not a choice draw from the opponent. So here, let's go ahead and lead out with the Wild Mysticism. We're going to be able to just take the Draven damage for the turn, and then next turn we can start the Hearthblood Mender and increase the size of our Feral Mystic. Wow. All right, big Draven coming through. Let's boogie. Wow, what an absolute disaster for the opponent. Hey man, as they say, this is why none of the matchups are 100% win rate. We're not out of the woods yet, right? This game can still go completely wrong, but having things go this way is quite good for us. still worries. Like, you can get into these kind of long drag fests, and opponents just like, LOL, it's Jinx, and we don't have a ton of removal to deal with her, and so I worry a little bit with what can happen here, but not a ton. And I don't think we should be attacking here, right? This seems like it's probably just going to play into the opponent's favor. Maybe if he taps down really low, we'll feel a little bit better, but I definitely don't want to attack with 2 units this turn. It's too easy for us to say, attack with both, opponent blocks with Risen Rider, they spinning axe it, then they whirling death down another unit, and he gets to take down both of our units off of the single thing on board. I don't really want to see that happening. We just need time here, and we're certainly getting it with what we have. It's Draven time. So we could have maybe attacked with the Hearthblood Mender there at the end of the day. It just still feels a little greedy. I don't think we need to. Don't think we need to be rushing anything here. The real question we have is: do we want to just play a ramp card this turn? If we ramp with the Wild Mysticism or even the Winter's Touch, we can drop the Anaacka next turn, which should give opponents some trouble. All right, I'll take the bait with this one. He's probably just going to be going for a Draven flip, right? He's already got the 1 axe hit. He's got the second spinning axe in hand. It's very easy for him to flip the Draven here. I don't think we want to Harsh Winds. We can Harsh Winds later, preferably when there's more units coming in across on the attack. And so let's just let him spend whatever cards he wants to spend here. We're not going to take any damage, and then we're good to get the Anaacka going. Interesting, he doesn't even go for the flip. If he'd played the spinning axe, he could have got the flip off of Draven and got some overwhelm damage in, got some more axes. But no complaints. Drop in the Wild Mysticism, get the Mystic, and then next turn we'll have the 8 mana for the Anaacka, and then 2 turns from now we can surprise him, right? Maybe we get to ramp up to Enlightened and get some good blocks in with the Mystics. One can dream.
You should try blinking sometime.
All right, we do have the ability to take down this Jinx, but I'm not excited about it. Gotta start making these high value plays off the Anaacka. See if we can't make a highlight reel on game number 1 here. Attack with Anaacka into Anaacka into Anaacka into Cithria. You know, something like that. That's what feels good. Given the ways our draws have gone this game to where we haven't seen any 2-drops or 3-drops, I don't suspect we're going to get a big one here. Oh, should have suspected a little more, huh? It was, yeah, drop a little cupcake on that one. Anaacka into Tianna, not Cithria. Good stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll definitely attack again. Like, getting to re-attack with these Anaackas and getting more summons out of them is pretty ridiculously strong. I'm not going to attack with the Feral Mystics. We're going to go for the Enlightened play next turn, but oh boy, and he doesn't even have any cards. Welcome to the jungle, India Brado. Shit's about to get real. Hope that's not a curse word. I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, whatever language that is. I assume that when you see languages like that, it's probably just Portuguese, right? It's probably somebody from Brazil. None of the top players in the world are all from Brazil, and so that's just what I assume. Oof. Cithria won, along with Tianna. Well, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it right there. Oh, man. Not even lucky. Not even lucky. Just the downright good hits rolling through. And that is why we play the deck. Oh, so much fun. So much fun having that stuff roll through. Get this kitty some good scratches. All right, next battle up against Udyr Pantheon. Let's see what we can do, friends. And so we want to start with the ramp. If we find ramp, great. Otherwise, we'll only keep Troll Scavengers or the blocking Badger Bears. That's all we're looking for in our openers. I won't keep an expensive card to go with our Troll Scavenger. We just play so many that they're easy enough to draw. And so you will run into games to where you have the Scavenger on turn 2, but you don't have an 8 drop to go with it. It just is what it is. You know, that's part of the risk reward that you get in playing this deck. We did spike on our first draw of the game, but even if we missed, it wouldn't be super upsetting.
Footprints here.
All right, Mountain Goat, I'm ready to block. The other angle of fun that this deck gets to do. Just the giant dudes right from the get-go. I dig it.
Looking into the future, I see.
All right, here come the combatants. Not bad. Your attacks still suck. You can send the Mentor in and boost the Goat, but it's still just gonna die to our Troll Scavenger. Definitely on board. I wonder if we... Oh, we got to block with the 4. I'm going to say, I wonder how crazy we should get here. I mean, if he has the combat trick, we do have a Concerted Strike in hand, and so I'm not super worried about what's going on. I don't think this is worth a Concerted Strike. Let's just start taking our ramp. This is a deck that should just get completely murdered by the likes of Buried in the Ice, and having the Buried in the Ice at the stairs combo along with the Anaacka in hand. I think as long as we're just developing some time, we're going to be completely okay. So we'll take the old Winter's Touch and pass. Next turn, we can look to Buried in Ice. I don't even think we really need to at this point, but if he drops an Udyr, then it starts to become much more interesting. He's loaded up a bunch of equipment. If you're not familiar with this interaction, if you do entomb a unit with equipment on it, the equipment gets sent to the Nether, and so they don't get to use them anymore. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see him open at this point, but worth noting with the Buried in the Ice here. You know, let's just take it. It's only 9, and I'm not scared. So there goes the 2 equipments. His dudes are locked and loaded in the ice now, and we don't have to blow them up with the Ithit Stairs. We could just switch to using Anaacka at this point, which I'm kind of interested in. These aren't really high-valued units under the Frozen Tomb, so I think we're just going to pivot. We're just going to go and use the strong unit.
Are you ready to destroy a demon?
That's not awesome.
Ready to light the way, Adrian.
We're still okay, but not ideal. Take this one a little bit slower now. We still got things like Cithria in hand. We can get a absolute mountain of stats. War Mother's Call is, of course, always strong. I think we're okay.
We cry out, no more gods,
This is, unless we're going to get popped by some kind of dumb Pantheon here. Did he hit Elusive in the mix? That's always the big one. Oh, boy. Lifesteal Elusive Challenger Fury. Not bad. Oh, we're just dead. Well, we can... Did he hit Spell Shield? He did not hit Spell Shield, so maybe we can get him with a Concerted Strike. Whew.
they will know.
That would have been a good argument for just blocking stuff on the previous attack. You got to deal with these dumb Pantheons. I knew Pantheon wasn't on the board when we were getting in front of it, but not a bad draw on the Concerted Strike. All right, get out of here, bro. Nobody wants to see that nonsense. Do we get a dude on board? I'm leaning towards just dropping Cithria now. I mean, getting this absolute ton of stats should be good enough. Famous last words. Famous last words. I don't know. I mean, I guess there is a degree to where you have to worry about a secondary Pantheon, but We have the blocking Badger Bear. If he gets elusive, he's not going to have as many stats as he did before because he had a bunch of faded bonuses on him. I think it might be okay. And there is an argument for just playing It That Stares to deal 3 damage, blow up 3 of the units on the board, and then still have access to the Concerted Strike. But that seems like something we would rather do on the opponent's turn. If they drop a Pantheon and then we get to follow up with the big unit or something. Oh, single combat. Beautiful. All right. Well, this is lethal if he doesn't have another unit, and then we can technically... Well, if we get 1 unit through, we can technically do something with the Overwhelm on the Feral Mystic. I don't think that's going to happen, and it looks like opponent dropped their phone in the toilet. They said bust your sweet hits with the Concerted Strikes are just too much. All right, not bad. So yeah, video 316, man. Do you all remember Stone Cold Steve Austin? This tells my age. I don't know what Stone Cold Steve Austin's up to anymore. I figure he's like retired from wrestling and probably just like sells guns or runs a rodeo or something. No, I don't fucking know. But back when I was a teenager, when I used to watch wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin was real big. I watched it in the heyday of having the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock running around, and so quite familiar with all the catchphrases. Still like to come out and call people jabronis and stuff, bring a little Dwayne The Rock Johnson to their day. Austin 316 says, "I just whooped your ass." Very clever. Very clever. Someone made millions of dollars thinking up that concept there. Alrighty, so this will happen sometimes. This is not good. If you take a peek at your starting hand, your cheapest unit costs 8, along with a Concerted Strike and a 12-mana spell. You're probably gonna lose. You need to be hitting some really royally epic top decks for things to go well from here. And hey, we got a good start, right? We hit the troll on turn 2. Now maybe we'll hit that 4-cost ramp spell on turn 3. Opponent will never know that we just top decked like a boss until he comes out and watches the video, right? I don't imagine he ever blocks here. He chose not to. All right, next turn. I was like, as he was sitting here forever, I was wondering what 3-cost unit he would be, or 3 attack unit he'd be putting down. You can play Steam on turn 4, but there's nothing on turn 3 that seems, real compelling in the face of the Troll Scavenger. So I was surprised he thought on that for so long. But it's okay. Picked up our boy Trundle. And you can even see with boards like this, as we're just going to imagine that opponent either plays Steam or they play Evelyn next turn. And having Trundle is just so much bigger. Well, I guess we can't play Trundle next turn. We don't have the 4 mana. But these are the spots as to where I'm thinking about Fiora and Braum. And they're both pretty bad here, right? I mean, it would be nice with Fiora to be able to get her on board. There's some small units to take down like Saltura. We can try and challenge off his 0 attack husks. But, for the most part, I'm just much happier to have Trundle in this space. So no complaints there. Get something to do. Hi, Badger Bear. We've lost out on a couple points of mana, but with the way that this game started, this looks like it's all turned out pretty decent to me. I'm just gonna wait on the attack. I don't feel like we get too much value just slamming the Badger Bear in here. Now we pick up our first ramp. It's interesting. I mean, it feels like we'll have time to just get War Mother's Call on the board. But this is another place to where a 3 damage It That Stares is looking pretty good. We can look into that on our next turn. Get old Trundle on the board. Now, I'll say with this, I don't have particularly high expectations for this Trundle. We typically, get real invested in making sure our champions and the like survive, I don't care. If he gets 2 units here, that's great. If he just like gets a huge shutdown on the opposing attacks, that's pretty good as well. You know, again, I don't have huge expectations out of this. We're going to prevent like a metric fuck ton of damage here and really help build us up into these expensive cards. This all looks pretty good to me. Okay, so Steam goes down. I assume he's going to send his Voidling into Trundle now. Absolutely perfect. That's great. Your board sucks. Right? And so he's really to the point now to where he's counting pretty heavily on Kai'Sa. I think he might have switched and just realized, yeah, my units suck a whole lot. I need to slam this damage in. But I think he's going to have to at least hook the Trundle. He's like giving up on his Steam. I think he's stuck hooking Trundle, because if he has him grow, it's a bit of a problem. Oh! Playing the long game here. I wonder if he actually has Kai'Sa in hand or something. That's interesting. So he's got Kai'Sa now. Maybe not. He could pick up Evelyn. All right, here comes the heat. Wear down that board a little bit. If he wants to trade with the Elder, I'm completely fine. He's trying to hit Kai'Sa now. He wants to hit Kai'Sa so that he can put Spell Shield on her. Looks like he didn't land it. I didn't watch from his hand where that Evelyn came from, but I think this is fine. And if we want, we'll have the mana to War Mother's Call on this upcoming turn. It's a bit scary, right? It's a bit of a high roll card. I think our health is at least high enough to not completely worry about like playing a War Mother's Call and missing, but Kai'Sa is what really scares me at this moment. But as it stands, our If the Stairs don't do anything. We might just need to get that unit on the board. He really needs like a Kai'Sa and I guess it's tough. It's tough for him to have scout units here. I think we can, well, let's lead with the Ice Pillar. How about that? Get us another dude on board, slow his roll just a little bit, give us a chance to get a little bit more info before we just drop War Mother's Call. Like, I'm okay with it if it's, say, after combat here, we drop the War Mother's Call and he hits it with Rite of Negation. I just don't want to have a really bad turn with Kai'Sa coming down and smoking our board. All right, the blocks are in. So I guess another reasonable question is, do we want to just like pop all of his spell shields? Oh shit, we don't even have the mana to War Mother's Call. Oops. I guess that answers a lot of the questions on what we're about to be doing. So let's pop all these spell shields. I mean, that can be useful, right? In the event that he, say, picks up Kai'Sa, and then we now have the concerted strike options to throw in front of his plays. Another challenger and a buried in ice. I mean, I'm really leaning towards this War Mother's Call. He shouldn't be able to do too much to us this turn. And then if he has the Rite of Negation, fine. We're fairly safe on this next turn with double Concerted Strike. So I think this is okay. Middle of the road unit in the Hearthblood Mender. He's not, super strong, but it's better than hitting a 3-4. All right, get in there, dude. Combat time. There's the Kai'Sa. Okay. So the thing that starts to worry me with this board is you know, we should have enough blocks to get through this. Maybe not, since he has all of these challengers. But I was wondering if, you know, how much we need to play around Rite of Negation. It sucks to throw down both Concerted Strikes on the stack and then your opponent just have the Rite of Negation to immediately end it. So it's not what we really want to see. It does look like we're in a space here to where we should be able to just play one onto Kai'Sa, see if he does anything, and then if we kill the Kai'Sa, he at least doesn't kill us, which is fine, which is decent, you know. We're only taking 5 at this moment, and if he has, again, the Rite of Negation, we can play the second Concerted Strike. I just worry about trying to Concerted Strike both Evelynn and Kai'Sa at the same time, and then Rite of Negation killing both of our spells. Brings a Hate Spike in. We only take 5. Okay. Works for me.
Does it hurt?
And then we did rally for the turn, right? We hit Tianna. So we can just play Wild Mysticism if we want. Give us another big attacker on the board. He's only got 1 card in hand. Nothing comes to mind that he could use to kill us with at this point, but okay, Salter. Feeling pretty good now. Pretty good. Take him to 6. Gonna get that fresh unit off the War Mother, and then we have all these Cithrias if we want. I think we're in pretty tip-top shape here.
That's it.
And boom.
Demacia in our hearts, we fly.
With Demacia in our hearts, we fly. GG, my dude. GG. All right, got him. That was number 3, right? I feel like that was win number 3. Hope I'm not taking anything away from you. we played the Draven guy. Then who was our last game? I don't remember. We played Udyr. Okay, so we played Draven guy. We played Udyr. Then we played Kai'Sa. Now we're up against old Rise. Not a particularly ideal matchup. It seems like something that would be ideal, you know, given that we can ramp and do a bunch of ramp stuff before they start to get their stuff on board. You know, they never actually come out and pressure us, but we don't have a way to pressure them very fast, and so he also knows that he can just go ham with putting his landmarks on the board and not worry about dying, and so hasn't been super fantastic. The edge we kind of have here, as opposed to the Fiora version of this deck, is we are playing the Ithid Stairs, and so we have opportunities to destroy all of his Rise landmarks. Now, the thing that can be a real problem in this space is if he has Deny, and it's like, if we play Wild Mysticism and it gets denied, are we okay with that? And I think we are in this space. I don't need the ramp at the immediate moment, and then having the deny or taking away the deny before a landmark blow up happens from Ithid Stairs be fairly important. Seems like he's got it. He's thinking about it real hard. If we really wanted the ramp, the safe answer would have been Winter's Touch, but again, since we have so much time, I'm fine to just drop down the slower ones. All right, Duder's got Rise in hand. And we got all the Badger Bears. All the Badger Bears coming through.
I long for the day when this is over.
All right, so at least with the amount of time this guy's taken just sitting here with our ramp on the stack, I don't feel too great about trying to go for a War Mother's Call kind of play. And so, I mean, we'll play it eventually, I guess, but it's not something I'm really in a rush to get on the board. But now this is pretty interesting, picking up the third Wild Mysticism. And so if we land the spell, we just have these gigantic effing Feral Mystics on the board next turn. I think I'm pretty okay with dropping this last one in, and then having a really strong attack next turn. We're going to bamboozle him with this attack, right? Nope. He sees it. So we can still play the Winter's Touch next turn to get up to Enlightened. That's not a big deal, but it would have been nice if we were threatening to bring this big attack in without him being able to see it. That's where we want to go. Let's just go ahead and play Trundle. Might as well get the big boy on board, right? Alright, he's got a handful of spells, that's for certain. And he surrenders. Nice, nice. The incoming 6/6s are a little bit too much. GG, my dude. That's the way you win the games, right? You go ramp spell, ramp spell, ramp spell, ramp spell, win. No, you don't need your Primeval Titan today. You don't need your big unit at the end. You just ramp, 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 win. GG. Thanks for showing up to the party. All right, so let's see how this one starts off. Talia Ziggs. There's, a little bit of a mid-rangey aspect to this deck. If they're on their just big mid-rangey kind of draws that involve getting a bunch of Rock Bears and 5/3 Fearsomes on the board, you tend to do okay. If they're on like a really aggressive draw to where they have the 1-drop into Ruin Runner into Ziggs, and then they're able to threaten a bunch of damage with the Ziggs, those games tend to go a lot worse. And so looks like he's on this more mid-rangey draw, which is a good thing for us. Now, we do have the Troll Scavenger in hand with no cards to go along with it. That's okay. If we wanted to get the Scavenger on board, say we had an 8-coster in here, we could have played Winter's Touch this turn, but it's not the biggest deal to miss out on him for a moment. All right, we'll just keep ramping. Seems like a pretty weak draw from the opponent. I don't want this to sound like it's a good matchup, because it's not. But opponent hasn't really come out the gates here, so we're in it. We have a shot. We just need an expensive spell. Sad day for you. I was gonna say we were about to be in that same spot to where we can start popping off with 8/8s again, or with the 6/6s again. We have this other Wild Mysticism with the Winter's Touch. Didn't quite come together, but it's okay. Not a bad time to drop the bomb. So we want to go ahead and take down the Wastewalker, right? This lets our Badger Bear stay alive. And then come in and block something else. You can get Pokesticked, sure, but there's no reason to just let that happen. He seems to want the landmark. All right, we'll let that go. I'm kind of conflicted with that. He seems to really want the landmark. Like, if he's trying to get his Talias on board and stuff, then he hasn't had a ton of opportunity to, sacrifice off the landmarks and stuff. The thing that worries me is, like, I don't want to get 0 value out of this Badger Bear. And so he's at risk of getting a bomb dropped on him, or getting getting hit with Pokestick and whatnot, so it's a little worrisome in that sense. We're gonna have to start blocking now, but I think enough time has passed by then to feel pretty safe. Wonder if he just doesn't have Talia in hand. This is not a good Preservarium if you have Talia, or he shouldn't have played the Devout. He doesn't have the space to copy units anymore. And Cithria just got the manas. I got all the manas one could need to just drop a Cithria onto board. Not entirely certain. Well, we're not going to get the opportunity to just drop her on this turn, but wasn't entirely certain it was going to come through. Okay, no absolvers or anything. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's the Talia. Interesting. She is nowhere near flipping. I didn't realize it was so bad. I didn't realize she was at 5. Or 3 of 5 off this last copy. That pokey stick hurts. We'll let it go. We could have single combated out of that, but I think once we start to get the 10-10 Cithrias on the board, we'll just have better ones that aren't as risky. All right. Well, opponent has a ton of cards in hand, and we don't have that much stuff to do. But we're getting the big units on board, ready to battle. Got some reasonable removals in hand as well. Just need like one more big card. If we roll big with Anaacka, or if we roll with another Cithria or something, might be too much for him to handle. Interesting. Well, we got to attack sometime, right? That's what we're doing playing the game. You got to attack at some point. You can't just put your units on the board and wait and hope. You gotta get an attack in. I'm curious why he's dropping the bomb onto Cithria. I assume he's just trying to build up the damage to take her down eventually. You gotta deal with that sometime, I guess.
Prepare yourselves, soldiers.
We should have done that the other way. I didn't even stop to think about Talia flipping in combat. So it's an extra point of damage onto Cithria. Hopefully that doesn't matter. Hopefully it doesn't matter. A little bit of a sloppy play. Wow, she's definitely in the right range now, right? You can deal 4 damage to her. That actually has a lot of potential to be brutal. If he plays the 4 damage removal spell onto Cithria. I mean, she's by no means ending the game, but if we can get the removal from, yeah, this is going downhill fast. But if you could get an extra card out of her from opponent has 1 million in hand, kind of gotta take him off the board at some point. Hit that stairs. Interesting hit that stairs with his ability to blow up all the landmarks. What else are we gonna do, right? No, quit blowing up your landmarks, dude. I'm the one that blows up your landmarks. Ugh. Nasty. None of our blocks are particularly strong.
There you are.
So we want to single combat first, right? And then we want a concerted strike second. I don't have too much faith in this working, but at least in this space, you know, his board gets cleared out. He only has that one unit left. Can't ask for too much more. Ooh, brutal. Was not expecting those rando combat tricks to be rolling through. And we really need a War Mother's Call. Only got that one copy in here, so it's not an easy one to hit.
Little wounds are just as good as big ones.
We got Cithria number 2. I mean, she's interesting. We'll blow up the landmarks, I guess. He doesn't get the unit off the sarcophagus anymore. This got nerfed or edited or patched maybe 3 or 4 patches ago, to where it used to say whenever it was destroyed. So if I destroyed the landmark, he would still get the 5/3, but it doesn't operate that way anymore. As you could see as we blow up his landmark. I feel like he's played like 5 restored devoutes this game. I don't think I'm wrong on that number. It feels like he's played a ton. And the Ziggs, sure. You can't beat Ziggs. Okay, GG. Ooh, that's tough. All right, though. Next battle. That's where you're going to find the most trouble with this deck, because number one, decks like Lurk are pretty unbeatable. There's worse bad matchups than Lurk. Lurk is kind of like close to the top of the bad matchups, but they start having draws like this, right? As to where he has nothing on turn 1. If he doesn't have that fish on turn 2, then he's really, of course he hits, but he's really far behind if he doesn't get those level ups onto his units. And so, and a lot of this matchup comes down to luck. I really hate this matchup in the sense that you see a lot of what just happened. I might just be having some like real bad recency bias with the likes of Lurk, but this is in all honesty. I've had matchups in yesterday when I was just playing games for funsies, to where the opponent literally went turn 1 fearsome, turn 2 fearsome, fearsome. Oh no, I'm sorry. He went the turn 1 fearsome, hits Rek'Sai, turn 2 plays 2 more fearsomes, and then onto turn 3 he attacks again, and then I can't exactly remember. It made me so mad, but it involved him hitting Rek'Sai on turn 1 with no predict, and then having the Pike on like turn 5 with no predict. He predicted at no point throughout the game, and he played a Razor Jaw Swarm, whatever that stupid card's called, and still managed to just hit every time. Oh, see, look at this. This is how you win games with this stupid fucking deck. You say, "Oh wow, look how good I am! I've got this Rek'Sai magically on top of my deck. Now my unit's big enough to kill Trundle." Very skillful. I'm quite impressed with what you managed to do there. So fucking dumb.
In this timeline, we're sure to
I don't know. Somebody at Riot, approved these decks and thought that this was a good idea. So I applaud that guy. You're really good at your job.
see what I've learned.
All right, we're gonna Rek'Sai again. If he just has a Lurk and it's only a 9 attack Rek'Sai, it's not that big of a deal. If he hits the Rek'Sai off of this one, it just blows. Yeah, good job. Much skill, very skillful. I don't know. I guess like I talk a lot about lottery tickets and the enjoyment factor that people get out of playing the lottery and stuff. And I guess that's what you get when you play Lurk, is you get to have those good moments. It's just nothing about this deck seems fun to me. Like it's something that we should probably have in our wheelhouse of enjoyment, right? given the amount that I love to aggro, but this deck is just so dumb. I just can't imagine like how this got through the design process. People were like, "Oh yeah, we're having so much fun. We're playing Lurk. This is a good time. Everyone's really enjoying themselves today." Everyone's enjoying themselves today. We're playing Lurk. Oh my god. Well, good job. This would have been. That's what this game came down to. You hit rec size when you needed them. I guess that's fun. It's about as fun as playing against Hexite crystals. Okay, that was finished. The salt has washed over me. We're moving on. Whew. All right. Speaking of cards I hate. Speaking of cards I hate. God, I hope so much that Curious Shellfolk gets rotated. Like, Curious Shellfolk, it's a card that strikes me as if you want to put it into Wild or Extended or whatever we're calling the Legacy format, to where you're able to come out and just do a bunch of degenerate dumb shit, then fine. But it's a card that I think has no business living in any real constructed format ever. So... if you're new, we do have some new folks around since we've picked up some popularity with some of these decks. The problem I have with the Curious Shellfolk is there's never a situation to where two things. Number one, it's a fun card for both players. And so what situation do you find yourself getting into with Curious Shellfolk where both players are like, wow, that was a fun and enjoyable experience. I'd love to play that game again. And number two, it's a kind of card that is only good or it's not, right? It's so super polarized in what it does. It's either a card that is exceptionally good, or it's just complete unplayable trash. And there is a place for that in stuff like Path of Champions, but the card I always talk about is Jay Medarda. And Jay Medarda being in that spot to where he's unplayable right now, but the very instant Jay Medarda is playable, it's in some completely degenerate and absurd combo deck that is just completely no fun to play against, and it just ruins whatever format it's a part of. And so that's how I typically feel like Curious Shellfolk is. I don't think the Curious Shellfolk deck is that good, but people play it, and I think that's the only time it is good, is when it's in that land of degeneracy. All right, well, we can get some units on the board, though. I think if we're going to look at the next turn as just playing It That Stares, then we probably don't want to drop the Troll Scavenger. It's just going to end up coming in and trading away. But the kind of thing with these cards like Troll Scavenger, or I should say with It That Stares, is our only answer to... like he's going to try and kill us with Fleet Admiral Shelley. Our only answer to Shelley and the Burblefish is things like It That Stares that can come in and AoE away the damage. And it's not very good at it, but it's a card that we might need to hold on to a little bit in terms of trying to blow up their combos. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a Burblefish in hand if he's just dropping Jettisons here. It's very odd. Alright, let's see how much it does. Do we want to wait till a Burblefish comes on the board before we drop It That Stares? I think that seems reasonable. Like, if we play... Well, I guess the other problem here is he has those 1/3s on the board. We could have cleared out the 1/3s potentially, but I feel like if we play the It That Stares, he's just going to chain off a bunch of spells and get the bonuses anyways. All right, he's just one spell away at this point. I wouldn't be surprised to see another one come in. It's just going to be a matter of how many. We can deal with these coral creatures. Huh. Fun game. Let me tell you, I assure you, both sides of the board were having fun in that matchup. I assure you, both sides having good times. It was very enjoyable. I had a good time. I hope you did too. Whew, okay. Game number 8, the final battle. Up against Trundle-mere, a little bit of ramp on ramp action. I love it. Let's see what happens here. I haven't actually played the Trundle-mere match with the ramp deck. I'm surprised we haven't run into it, but it strikes me as being not good. We have some powerful things like the Buried in the Ice, but their top end is a little bit more top endy than ours. Like if they're getting to play 3 copies of Field of Rush and we just play 1 copy of War Mother's Call is what I think that kind of comes down to. But we can get the Scavenger on board. This is a Winter's Touch draw, right? So we'll have 4 mana on turn 3. Be able to pop that off. But send in the squad. You got one? I got one too. Cupcake. I feel like that's the appropriate response. It's a little cupcake, you know. Are you gonna have one? I've got one. Blighted Ravine. Okay. I guess he does play a bunch of dumb cards like that don't matter. Your vile feasts aren't scaring anyone here.
The trolls are going to war.
Alright, well I got all the ramps, dude. I came ready to party. Unfortunately, don't have any good attacks next turn. Sure. Like, we can just play Tianna and attack with her. That doesn't sound very good. It sounds like she's going to get popped by a Vengeance. We would prefer to have some board and then get the rallies out of Tianna. Alright, give me something interesting, deck. Buried in Ice. Ugh. That's not interesting. Alright, we'll stop your Trundle for a turn. Ugh. Oh, the aggro's are coming, though. He didn't see that. He didn't see that aggro coming in. Our Trundle.
Where's my lunch? We hunted for you.
So he can't just play his Ice Pillar, right? He'll get a second Ice Pillar once his Trundle comes back, but he can't just play it now, have Trundle come in, see the Ice Pillar, and then flip. So he's going to be a little bit slow behind.
Live to fight.
I don't know if this deck plays Atrocity anymore. Such an odd space to be living in. Like having Trundle-mere without Atrocity in it. I don't think anybody plays it now because it is a fairly bad card at this point, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one.
You're in my kingdom now.
All right, though. Interesting draw with our Ithid Stairs since we had the other Buried in Ice in hand. Might be able to pull off some shenanigans on old opponent here.
One troll to rule them all.
Do we ever get anything out of, say, like attacking with Trundle and then rallying our Tianna? All right, we can hook Tryndamere out of combat. So say we attack with Trundle, hook Tryndamere out, hit the Ice Pillar with our Trundle, then we get to replay Tianna and attack again. Doesn't strike me as something that ever really works. We'll play Tianna next turn to much more success, I think. And then we're still a little bit safer with the Concerted Strike Harsh Winds in hand. I'm sorry, we have to play It That Stares next turn, but I think it's still a reasonable space. Feel the rush. Well, that's not good. That's not good. Granted, I'm not a master of this mirror. I feel like someone with more experience in this mirror is just gonna say, "Bust, you are a dum dum." You are a dum dum for certain. But let's at least put the damage onto Tryndamere. We're gonna need to get some overwhelms next turn. So if we're overwhelming through Tryndamere with the Trundle, I think that's okay. And then this should switch his strongest unit to now being the other Trundle. So we can hook that out of combat. Uh-oh. He's gonna land Marcus, huh? Clever. Alright, well, I don't think we're gonna be able to do anything with this. Okay, GG it. Did just pick up Trundle number 2. But that was awkward. I don't know how to handle that one if we're not just blowing them out. I need to play that match like 10-15 times before I have a decent grasp of what's even happening. But not a bad set of games. We can pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. I think that was a pretty decent showcase of the deck. We got to pull off the highlight reel. On occasion, we had some really strong Anaacka attacks in there, but you can see how this is, I feel like, a little bit stronger against all the mid-rangey decks. There's just, whenever you're playing up against like Leona, or you're playing up against elites, and you have the opportunity to play Buried in Ice, you get those real, oops, I win the game kind of draws. And I think it's fairly safe in that just giving up on all the aggro matchups. And so it's a pretty interesting deck in terms of things like best of 3, to where you have a little bit more flexibility in banning out your real problematic matchups with this. I don't feel like best of 3 is really a space to where we're seeing a ton of where we're going to be seeing a ton of triple aggro. I know we don't have best of 3 coming up anytime soon, but it's something to think about for the future. But I think that it has some real potential in best of 3 where triple aggro tends to not be very good, especially as we're about to enter a space with a rotation to where a lot of the cards are going to get cut out of the format, and it's going to be a smaller format. And that's not to say an aggro deck won't be good, but it tends to be hard to have 3 good aggro decks. And so I'm really curious to see what this has in store post-rotation. But again, for right now, pretty reasonable stuff. If you're running up against a lot of aggro, it's terrible. If you're running up against a lot of decks that can deal damage to your face without being on the board, like Talia Ziggs or something with Vhagar in it, like Darkness or Nora Vhagar, or decks that used to kill with Atrocity, that would be kind of problematic. I know we don't have to worry about Atrocity as much anymore, but as long as it's a very board-centric state, this is a deck that has a lot of gameplay to it. And so I did want to bring this out. This is one of the things I'm actually good at in the game, is taking these decks and refining them. I've never been good at coming up with the initial deck idea. I've never been that good at actual gameplay. I have been pretty good at someone giving me a 35-card list and really tuning it into that exceptionally strong 40. And I think that that's where we're getting pretty close with this iteration of the deck. And so, there you had it. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so, hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. So, this is Bust and me. Thank you for being here.